So in this video,
right here, right now,
I want to talk about how to make your synths so funky
right here,
that your neck starts to hurt from bobbing your head up and down.
right now.
So all the synths in this tune, whether it's these chords or the lead synth or this sound or the bass, they actually all have a lot in common. So let's talk about how to make some funky ass sounds. So the first key to funk is something called parallelism. So if we take any chord, if we hold that same chord shape while moving it around, that's called parallelism or parallel chords. And if we use a better sound than that, it sounds a lot cooler. But this only really sounds good if you're playing funky chords. Like normal chords like A minor, they're like the enemy of funk. Like you want to add at least a seventh to it, or a ninth, or an 11th. And those types of chords, like the 7th chords and the 9th chords and stuff, they sound really good when you pitch bend them like this. And that's because of that parallelism, because the chord is moving around, but it's staying in the same exact shape. So I use that idea on the lead synth in this track. Because this sound is really a chord I made in Serum that's moving around. And then obviously I use that on these big funky chords too. Now let's get into the actual sound design of these synths. Now saw waves are great for funky sounds because they have a lot of harmonics. Like this is just a bunch of saw waves playing. And having all those harmonics sounds really good when you start to bring out the resonances. And bringing out the resonance is a big part of the funkiness. And if you notice, literally all the sounds in this song are just saw waves. Like the lead synth, saw waves. The bass, just saw waves. This sound, some more saw waves. So let me give you a little tip to help bring the resonance out of whatever sound you're working on. So most people, when they're adding resonance, they just use the resonance knob on the filter like this. But I actually find it sounds better and you have more control if you use an EQ and then you modulate the frequency of one of the bands like this. So this way you're free to make the resonance hit wherever you want. It doesn't have to match your filter. And I'm using that same technique on this sound here. So I'm controlling that resonance with the EQ instead of the filter that's after the EQ. And moving around the resonance sounds good when you have a lot of harmonics to work with. That's why I initially had these saw chords, but that wasn't giving me enough harmonics, so I added another saw layer an octave up and another wavetable. Obviously it helps it sound fuller, but it makes the resonance sound cooler too. Then the difference between that sound I just showed you and a more boring sound like this is just a few small changes that add up to make a lot funkier of a sound. I think one of the most underrated parts of Serum 2 is this whole voice control section, so you can make it every new note you hit is either changing pan, or you can make the pitch change with every new note. And you know, perfect pitch and tuning are the enemy of funk. You want a little detune flavor in there. So I'm gonna add a little bit of detune here and turn this pan up a little bit. Then an obvious way to make these chords funkier would be to add some vibrato. And you can create vibrato with one click with that button over there. and you can control it with your mod wheel. Then I can use this slider to really control how much I actually want on there. And when I'm making a funky sound, I like to add a little dirt to it, a little grit to it. So in the noise oscillator, I like this Geiger sound. So if I put this on white noise, it just sounds a little too clean, but there's this other noise called Geiger that sounds a lot dirtier, and when I mix that in with the rest of the sound, it just adds that dirt that I'm looking for. And for sounds like the bass, where I was bringing out the resonance a lot, it can sound really good just to add some tube saturation on there. Then obviously effects like chorus and flanger sound good with funky sounds. Now flanger makes a copy of your sound and delays it, so you get this like comb filtering effect. Obviously you don't want to overuse it, but it does sound cool on these chords. So I'm gonna play the full drop again with everything together, but just to like recap what makes it sound funky. First of all, when it comes to the songwriting, you don't want to use boring chords. Like you want to use 7th chords, 9th chords, 11th chords, 13th chords. Then it does help to have a sound that has a lot of harmonics, so you can bring out those resonances and sweep the resonances around with an EQ. Then things like detune, vibrato, noise, saturation, flanger, they're all extra tools you can use to polish it off and make it even funkier. And now as I play this full drop again, if you want to learn how to get really punchy, big sounding masters like this, I have a totally free mastering course you can check out at bigzcourses.com/mastering. I'll also leave a link below. Now here's the finished track.
Right here, right now. Right here, right now. Right here, right now. Right here, right now.